In every shadow, there's a story. In every myth, a warning. This is Wyrd Whisper, where ancient legends, forgotten folklore, and unsettling truths come alive. Enter, if you dare. Today's story is the forest spirit that punishes the arrogant, the tale of Leshy. In the heart of Eastern Europe, where the forests grow so thick that even sunlight hesitates to enter, a legend has lived for centuries. Passed down from elder to child, whispered in taverns and prayed against during stormy nights. It is the legend of the Leshy, the forest spirit. Not a ghost, not a god, something older, stranger, and far more dangerous. The Leshy does not kill for sport. He punishes the arrogant, protects the wild, and vanishes the unworthy without a trace. Velenov was a quiet village nestled at the edge of such a forest, ancient, moss-covered, and wild with secrets. The people there respected the woods. They offered bread under hollow trees and avoided the groves where mushrooms grew in perfect circles. Every child knew, never whistle in the woods. Never curse the trees. Never, ever speak the name Leshy aloud when the wind is still. But arrogance has a way of arriving uninvited. One autumn, a young nobleman named Marek came to Velenov. Spoiled, ambitious, and bred on tales of conquest, Marek scoffed at superstition. He had heard of the forest's untouched game and planned to build a lodge and hunting grounds, claiming the woods for his name. The villagers warned him, pleaded, "The forest is not yours," they said. "It belongs to him." But Marek only laughed. He saw no spirits, only trees to cut and beasts to kill. With a company of armed men, hunting dogs, and torchlight, he marched into the woods, joking loudly, cutting branches as they walked, marking trees with his blade. By morning, the dogs returned, alone. They were shivering, whimpering, their eyes glazed with fear. Marek's men were never seen again, and Marek himself vanished into silence. Not a trace, not a body. Only the faint sound of laughter carried by the wind. Not Marek's laughter, something older, deeper, a voice like creaking wood and falling leaves. The villagers knew. The Leshy had judged, and the forest had answered. A month passed, and the chill of early winter crept into Velenov. Marek's disappearance had shaken the village, but no one dared enter the woods. The people left bread and salt by the edge of the trees, small apologies for the nobleman's pride. Life continued until the night Dymek returned. Dymek was a seasoned hunter, wiry, gray-haired, and respected for his wisdom. But when he staggered into the village square one icy morning, barefoot and shaking, his clothes torn and eyes wide, he was not the man they remembered. He collapsed near the well, whispering strange things, his voice dry and cracking like dead bark. The trees lie. The sun loops back on itself. I walked for hours, and the path led to the same dead fox. Every time. They brought him to the elder's home, warmed him by the fire, and listened as his story spilled out in fragments. Dymek had entered the forest days before. Just for a short hunt, he claimed. He needed meat for winter. But something changed the moment he crossed the old stone near the forest path. The air turned still, sounds grew distant, and then the paths shifted. He spoke of illusions, a tree that bled when he cut it, a voice that mimicked his own, calling to him from impossible directions. He saw figures, himself, his late wife, even his dog, watching from behind the trees but always disappearing before he reached them. And then he saw it. A tall figure cloaked in vines, skin like cracked bark standing between two ancient oaks. Antlers sprouted from its head, twisting upward like a crown of thorns. Its eyes glowed pale green, not bright, cold. It said nothing, but Dymek felt its thoughts pushing into his mind like roots through soil. "You forget the old ways," it whispered. You take without asking. You walk as if you own the ground beneath your feet. Dymek had dropped his bow, dropped to his knees, and wept. He spoke of forgiveness, begged the forest to spare him. He had once respected the land. Perhaps the Leshy remembered that. He awoke the next morning beside a moss-covered shrine he didn't recognize. He had survived, but he would never hunt again. Spring came to Velenov, bringing green buds and cautious joy. But the forest's presence hung heavier than ever. Birds no longer nested near its edge. Even deer, once common in the meadows, had vanished deeper into the trees. The villagers whispered that the Leshy was restless, awakened fully by Marek's insult and now watching every step, every word, every breath. Then came the day of the spring feast, when a girl named Alina went missing. Alina was only 10, a curious, bright child with braids like coils of dark rope. Her mother had warned her not to stray far from the path while gathering wildflowers. But children forget, especially when the sun is warm and laughter carries on the breeze. She wandered. Hours passed. Dread crept in. The search began, but the forest gave nothing back. Not a footprint, not a broken branch, not even the scent of flowers. 3 nights passed. The village prepared for mourning. Then, at dawn on the 4th day, Alina walked out of the trees, alone, clean, unharmed, silent. The villagers rushed to her. She spoke calmly, like someone far older than she was. "I met the forest man," she said. They asked what happened. She answered simply. She had been led, not chased, fed, not starved. The Leshy had appeared to her not as a monster, but as a great tree that moved. It asked her questions, not words, thoughts. It asked what the forest meant to her, what she feared, why people forgot to say, "Thank you." She said she answered honestly. When she grew scared, the Leshy surrounded her with fireflies. When she cried, it made the trees hum a lullaby. "Why did he let you go?" asked the elder. Alina tilted her head. "Because I remembered to bow before I left." Her parents clung to her, weeping, but the elder understood. The Leshy had tested her, and she had passed. The spirit wasn't only punisher, it was judge. Years rolled by, but Velenov never forgot. New generations were raised on stories not of boogeymen, but of consequences. Children learned to leave honey for the ants and never break branches for fun. Hunters prayed before they hunted and thanked the trees before taking wood. And always, always, they left the old moss shrine untouched. Still, travelers vanished. Caravans that cut through the woods without permission were lost to time. Outsiders mocked the Leshy until their campsites were found abandoned, circles of scorched earth surrounded by claw-like branches. Horses returned alone. Maps led nowhere. They say the Leshy wears many forms, a raven that stares too long, a traveler with no shadow, a deer with human eyes. You don't see him until it's too late, but he sees you the moment you step beyond the trees. He doesn't kill out of hunger, he doesn't hunt out of sport. He is balance, he is memory. He is the old law that came before the axe, before the rifle, before pride. And sometimes, just sometimes, those who vanish don't die. They change. There are whispers of people who return, different. Eyes that flicker green in the dark, voices that echo when they speak. Men who refuse to leave the forest once they've been judged, as if something inside them was replaced or taken. So the villagers still warn the curious. If you walk into the woods, bring bread and salt, step gently, whisper apologies to the trees, because something ancient watches, and if the Leshy decides your soul has grown too loud, too greedy, too proud, he will quiet it forever. So the next time you find yourself near an ancient forest, and the wind suddenly stops, the birds fall silent, and you feel eyes watching from behind the trees, step back, lower your voice, and remember, not everything that watches wants to be seen. The Leshy still walks the woods, and he's listening. If this tale sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. There are many more ancient horrors waiting in the dark. Comment below, which forest spirit do you fear the most or want to hear about next? Until then, sleep with one eye open and don't stray from the path.